Welcome to DJNTV and Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Now introducing the one and only Ben Stowe.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
We are live right now to the world. Howie, take it away, my friend.
Welcome, everyone, to a surprise show. It's the Ben Stowe Show, but I'm here. I'm even wearing a geek shirt. So welcome, everyone, and I feel awkward welcoming Ben to his own show. Hi, Ben.
Well, it would be more awkward if I welcomed myself to my own show.
So it's
a big round of applause for me.
Yay! So what is it? Ask Ben anything, huh?
I guess.
I think so. I think we should have a show where they can basically throw out those tech questions, whether it's lighting or whatever, tonight. And I'll manage the chat room, and you guys will be able to do the heavy lifting. It'll be great.
What's the worst that could happen, honestly?
Well, there is that.
Oh. See, Chris in the house, Sean's in the house. This is going. I could. Never mind. I retract my question. What's the worst that could happen? So these guys are gonna gang up on me.
And if you guys are out there on Facebook or YouTube or even Twitch, if you have a question you'd like the guys to tackle tonight, put that into the chat, and it should pop up right here, so I can take it or bring it to the chat room tonight or to the room.
Well, I will kick it off with the first question.
Oh, and we've already got him coming in. Go ahead, how you start off, and then I'll get
Ben
lined up.
Ben, you put a picture up of your Digico board. Look, you were looking fondly at it. How long has it been since you've actually seen and had laid hands on that board?
Well, that board's not mine. That actually belongs to our local high school, which is where the event was.
Okay. That's
an S31, and it's a fine desk. It's a great desk. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's sort of like saying it's a bad Ferrari. You know, there's no such thing. I use the SD series desks, which are definitely a substantial step up from the S series, and so it's not. I'm not trying to put it down, but I think maybe I expect more of it because it says Digico on it, and I get disappointed that it can't do things that my desk can. But I was looking for, even though I don't love it as much as I love the ones I normally get to use. Yes, I was looking fondly at it because it's been a long time since I touched any mixing board. And to be able to do anything, I think one, there's a joy in what we do, but two, I think it's just really, really nice after almost exactly a year. The last show I did, I think, short of two show, can't even call it a run. It's 2 shows in August. Other than that, the last show I did was the Coasters, March 8th, I think. So it's pretty much a year to the day. And it just feels so good to be coming out of this thing, slow as it seems like it is, but we're starting to see, in a literal sense, the spring is happening around here, and in a metaphorical sense, spring is happening with COVID. That we're getting a lot of conversations about festivals and live shows, and DJs are working again, and yeah, that's a fond look for so many reasons.
Yeah. Already, John disappeared.
Reset. I didn't realize my video was lagging. Thank you, Jordan. No, Ben D mentioned it. He's like, John's lagging. Yes, I am. Okay. First question. Are we ready for it?
Bring it.
So somebody, DJ Stefan was wondering if the pod button on a live mixer is the same as a DI box, or what that would be.
If the what button?
The pod. P-O-D.
I think he means pad.
Pad button?
Pad.
No. So what a pad button does, and it depends on the console. Now I get a chance to brag on my Digico desks that I haven't got to touch in a while. Mm-hmm. So what a pad does is it reduces the level of the incoming signal. So if the signal is too hot and it's overdriving the preamp, the pad will reduce that. Now on some boards, the pad is really not much of a pad. It's just a digital pad. And what that means is the preamp has this huge range, and it just is reducing that sensitivity, so your knob is working with a lower sensitivity, but in reality the preamp is still operating over the same voltage range, which means compromises have to be made. In like the Digico racks, the pad is actually physically a resistor that clicks in and out by relay, so you actually have a true analog pad to reduce that signal, and that does make a measurable difference for sure. But as far as how that compares to a DI box, DI boxes almost always have some level of pads. Some even have adjustable and switchable pads, but that isn't really the only thing that a DI box does. It also converts a instrument level unbalanced signal to a mic level balanced signal. And so the balancing aspect is almost more important than the pad aspect in some ways. Although, of course, if you want to bring a line or instrument signal into a mic preamp, you do need to pad it. So that was about as fast as I could cover that material. But short answer, no. A pad button and a DI box are not the same thing. And in fact, there are even times with a DI, if it doesn't have a pad, that I might use both. I might use a DI and still use the pad on my desk.
Next question.
Bring it on.
Next question from Jordan. How do you sync up 4 Sennheiser wireless microphones to
Click the sync button.
to get different channels?
Oh, that's the wrong DJ Quay. I'm sorry.
Syncing up 4 microphones so they're all working together, but yet they're on different channels.
And thank you, by the way, Chris and Sean, for laughing. So you're like the only live audience I can see. So I appreciate the laughter.
All the joke will be aimed at them. That'll be great.
So the answer is, everybody, bottoms up, it depends. What it depends on is which Sennheiser wireless model you have. If you have like the XS series, there is no way to sync them other than to do it manually by setting them. So let's just toss that out of the equation. Let's assume you have like an EW Evolution Wireless. Now within there, you have the 100 and the 300, 500, which shares a receiver. So we can kind of divide it into those two camps. In the 100 series, you can simply link them together with a data cable, and it's either an RJ11 or an RJ14, basically a phone cable type. Comes with the units. And then after you scan your first one, the remaining devices will take their cue from that first one from the scan results. In the case of the 3 and 500, it's actually Ethernet based. So same principle, just a little bit more advanced communication going on.
And that's the G4 only, or G4 and G3?
So yeah, the G3 has the data ports on the back. It just doesn't work. So G4 basically only. On the G3 series 300 and 500, the Ethernet port, of course, works great. So with the 100, it's G4 basically.
Next question.
Keep it coming. Let's go. Yep. We're going for a record here.
BJ has a question about how reliable are the cold spark machines?
Well, that's a pretty generic question.
I think they mentioned a specific brand, but I don't want to go with specific brands. Just in general, can they?
How about this? How about since that's really an impossible question to answer, how about I give some general tips on how to make them more reliable? And of course, different manufacturers will have differing levels of reliability. It's generally important to, use the right spark granules with that machine. They should be formulated for it. A lot of times they also include like a proximity card inside, so you can confirm to the machine that you have put in valid, granules. But the key thing I think here is, cleaning, maintenance, and keeping the granules dry. What you really don't want are the granules to start clumping, because they do get hot. Actually, there is a combustion of sorts that occurs, and if that granule is clumped together, you can get a lot more heat than you anticipate, and you can have some unintended problems.
Is it like a fogger where there's a heat up time? So if I push the button when I want it to happen, like right when at the moment that the door is open for the bride and groom type of thing, is there potential some lag or for one of them to be offline for that second, like a fogger could be?
There's a preheat, but I think, excuse me. And again, it's, and by the way, to the viewer that asked about my chronic cough, yes, every time the air gets dry, so give it about a month or send me to Florida and this cough will go away. But I promise y'all I'm healthy. And if my competitors are watching, bad news, I'm healthy. So anyway, yeah, Sean, it's not contagious. You can't get it over the internet.
He's doubling up his masks.
Which, by the way, the last time I saw Sean was I think it was January of 2020. And of course that was right about the time that your airport, they were, like stopping all the flights to Asia, that sort of thing. And I had this cough, and every time I coughed in the San Francisco airport, people like scattered. It was like I was a leper, like, stop it. I had this cough for 10 years. Anyway, every winter, you live in a place when it gets -30, the air gets pretty dry. Anyway, Danny Max, how are you, my friend? Good to see you joining the crazy here. So, John, there is a preheat on most of the machines that I've seen. I don't think that's another, universal answer, but if you have the machine preheated and ready to go, it should be ready to fire at a moment's notice.
Excellent.
I have a follow-up question. Would it be safe to say, hey, stay away from a machine that says you don't need to clean it? I've actually seen those advertised.
Well, listen, I can't. I mean, that's such a broad brush statement. I can't say that whoever wrote that isn't qualified to say it or what their level of engineering is. I will say that you should always follow the manufacturer's directions. And I will also say that if you don't schedule maintenance, your equipment will schedule it for you.
Good way to say it.
That's pretty.
Next question from Ben D. If you could pick an Evolv 30, 50, or 50M, which one would you choose for a standard wedding for about 150 people?
Oh, I'd have them all. I mean,
Yeah.
So wedding ceremony or wedding reception?
Standard wedding hall, 150, yes.
So we'll say wedding reception. I would probably do the Evolv 50 simply because I probably don't need the mixing features of the 50M and the 30M. And of course, the 50 has more output than the 30M. But if I was doing a ceremony, I think my vote would change and I would maybe do the 50M. And if I wanted something that would do both, of course, I would do the 50M, because just because you have the mixer doesn't mean you have to use it, right? So, but I think I would find for 150 people, I think I would find the 30 to be underpowered for that. Ceremony, yeah, great. But it's why they make different models, right?
That they do. Scott's got a really an interesting question here. Thank you for the
Somebody
question.
keeping track of how many questions we get here, by the way, because I feel like we should keep score.
You can do that. I'm just going to rattle them off. If you guys
Too
want to
busy
ask
answering
questions,
them. Somebody's got to be the designated counter.
put your questions into the chat room. I'm working my way down as we're going tonight. Scott's question. Scott says, I'm not comfortable working with anything above 120 volts. How do I go about learning more about three-phase power that he's seeing in bigger venues?
Well, I think it's good that you're not comfortable. I think that's an awareness of what's happening here. And three-phase is also 120 volts. It's 120 208 because it's 208 phase to phase or 120 phase to neutral. If that confuses you, that's okay. But again, it's important to know that we don't know what we don't know, right? So I believe his question actually was, how can he learn or how he can get more comfortable? Well, that's a hard question to put a specific answer to. I think, asking questions is a great start. So you're off to a good start already. Reading is certainly good. I truly don't know what's out there for video content, that sort of thing. I think at the end of the day, working with the power and being an electrician can be two different things.
Yes.
You can have an electrician drop cam tails or whatever, or do your tie-ins in a box for you, and you could have a three-phase distro as long as you understand what you're doing with it. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated with three-phase if you have substantial draws, because we want to balance that load. We don't want to have really lopsided legs here. The phase to neutral will start heating up that neutral. So, I don't know that I have a great answer for other than ask and the same process for learning anything. Pursue knowledge, be willing to humble yourself and do those kinds of things. So, and don't go sticking your hands in a panel until you feel competent and comfortable. Or maybe till other people feel that you're competent and comfortable.
That could be bad. Let's see. Simeon's up next. Simeon's in need of good quality XLR cables. Do you have any recommendations?
I can't think of one myself.
See, I don't do a mic drop. I do a pin drop. No self-respecting sound engineer would ever do a mic drop, but I do a pin drop. So. Well, my friend, I will boldly say that we have the best cables that you can get for the money. I will boldly say we have the best cables you can get. I've yet to see a cable that tops ours. So it might be out there, but we're going to be in the top tier for sure. So look no further. Hop over to the NLFX site and grab you some Platinum Series cables. And here's the cool thing. We've got a lot of different lengths on the site, but if you would like a configuration you don't see, or you'd like a length you don't see, since we build them, we can make whatever you want. Oh, and we guarantee them forever. So that's a pretty salty guarantee, I think. And that's we're a little is that what the kids say now? Salty? Is that the word?
Yeah, no, the kids don't say that. No.
Help me out. What's the word? Danny, you're pretty hip. What's the word I want to use here?
Yeah, no.
No.
No, he's not. Okay, well, anyway, so if not salty, we guarantee them forever anyway, which means we feel pretty confident about the fact that they're going to treat you really well.
Even if the Shriners run over in their little cars?
Even they couldn't kill it. By the way, great segue there, Howie. If you get really bored, hop on YouTube and you'll find a video where we ran an entire parade over our Platinum Series cables for, I don't know, it was a couple hours. And don't worry, we made the video like fast forward or whatever. So you don't have to watch 2 hours of it. But you can see the abuse that cable took, and it is still perfectly functioning.
Mm-hmm.
Next question from Mr. T. When you have two wireless
Wait a
microphones...
minute. Hold up now. I'm a child of the 70s, so I grew up with like the A-Team and Rocky. Are we talking the Mr. T?
Yeah, that's what it says. It has to be. It's on the internet.
Well, all right.
It must be true.
When you have two wireless microphones on the same frequency with one receiver, why do the two microphones interfere with each other rather than both working together?
Well, I'm trying to think of a helpful answer here because I feel like just repeating the question back isn't going to be helpful. But the answer is because they're on the same frequency. Those frequencies are both trying to occupy the same space, and they're going to collide with each other. That receiver can only tune to one frequency. So it's kind of like when you're driving a car and one radio station's going out and another radio station's going in. And in some cases in a small room, and most of our rooms are small by definition compared to, Earth and a radio station, you may get nothing from either mic, or you may get that sort of battle where the stronger one's going to come through a little bit, but the weaker one's going to knock it out from time to time. But short answer, physics dictates that it can't work. So don't do it.
So it's almost it's baseball season. So let me just use this. It's like having two pitchers and one catcher, and the strongest pitcher who can get the ball there first is the one that they'll be the dominant one, and it's going to be there, and the other one won't even connect.
It's almost, John, it's almost more like, let's use a basketball analogy, since I know you're quite a basketball player. It's almost like two people shooting at a hoop and the balls hit each other. That's almost anyway, it doesn't
analogy.
work. And I have to say this, I'm sorry, with apologies, but I pity the poor fool that tries to use two mics on the same frequency.
I was wondering how long it's going to take for that. The next next question. Are speaker and microphone XLR cables the same?
Yes. When we're talking about line level audio, balanced line level audio, whether it's mic level or line level is inconsequential. Here again, just get our NLFX Platinum Series cables and you will be happy forever, guaranteed. But there is no, we even talked about this, our marketing team, it's their job to market, right? And we have to be competitive in the marketplace, but we always put truth and engineering first. But we actually talked about marketing a powered speaker cable, knowing it was complete crap. And we just said, no, it's just not who we are. That's not what we're about. We'd rather spend the time to educate people and answer that question. So it's a great question. No difference. Mic cable or line level analog audio cable, no difference. There is a difference if you are using a passive speaker and you're powering it from an amplifier. There you need a larger gauge capable of carrying higher current. So.
Next question. If you were going to be ordering a pizza for Rachel, what would you put on the pizza?
Oh, obviously, I think the world of Rachel and with appreciation for her, being on our cooking show and just all the things she does for our industry. If I don't know, I think I would probably just do, like pepperoni seems like sort of a safe bet, right? If it was my pizza, it'd be pineapple though. So take that.
Yeah, you're one of those people, aren't you?
I'm just gonna put it right out there. I'm gonna watch my. I have a problem right now. It's a great problem to have, and I feel very, very blessed. All joking and being glib aside, I have 5,000 Facebook friends, which is the max you're allowed to have, and I have a waiting list of like 100 people. And I really need to figure out, try to how to maybe sort that out. But anyway, I'm thinking by telling people I like pineapple on my pizza, that's going to create some openings. So
definitely could.
I'll be adding new friends tomorrow.
Kind of rethinking some of the plan. Yeah.
People are unfriending me in droves right now.
Oh my God, I thought it. Let's see. Next question from Ben. If you could pick EV or JBL speakers, what kind of ice cream would you choose?
I had that question in math class one time.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where we're going.
So both make great speakers. And I think that it's going to depend on the application, as to what I would choose, so I can't say on a brand level what I choose. Obviously, I love EV speakers, and my touring rig is EV, and I think they make great stuff, but JBL's also makes great stuff. Ice cream, there is no bad ice cream. I mean, that's a harder question than pizza, because it's like, it's ice cream. None of it's bad,
I disagree with that. I've had licorice ice cream.
Okay, well, all right. And I didn't know such an abomination existed.
Licorice is a big thing in Iceland. My wife is from Iceland, so I visit a lot. And it was like this disgusting dark gray. It was just absolutely terrible.
Okay, so I'd pick any flavor but licorice ice cream.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like, ew.
Thank you, Danny, for the heads up. If I ever go to Iceland, I'll keep my radar up. Yeah. And if anybody offers me ice cream, I'll be like, nah, it's so fast. I know what you're up to.
Yeah, just make sure it's got...
Slip me some licorice ice cream. I'm not falling for that.
Get some pineapple in there. Patrick, the question you asked...
I do love pineapple malts. I like all things pineapple.
That'd be good. Patrick, your question, if you could ask that tomorrow night with MJ, that's a virtual DJ is an MJ question. He is the man when it comes to that. So join him tomorrow. I don't remember if tomorrow is a open night or a question and answer night, but just back here on the DJNTV channels, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, and he'll be able to help you with virtual DJ at any level. He knows
the man, no doubt.
Yeah.
Scott, probably find someone electrician that you trust, and they'll help you out there.
Yeah, any electrician will be competent and capable with what we work with 12208 three-phase circuits. That's very basic to them, and strongly recommended if you have to go out of your comfort zone. It's just not worth it for risk to your equipment, risk to your life, risk to people around you. Just have them tied in. If you need help with selecting a distro or something like that, feel free to drop me a line, and I can kind of walk you through some of the 411 there. So
David's got a really good question here. With many wedding venues having hard surfaces, floors, brick walls, windows, what have you, is there anything that we can do to help absorb some of the sounds with our setups?
Put lots of people in the room.
He mentions that too. I took that out of his question, but
pack that dance floor.
Anything beyond?
Yep.
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, you can bring in portable baffles or drapes, or there are ways you can do that, but you can't make a reflective surface non-reflective without changing the properties of the surface. It's going to have the same coefficient, but by putting people in and breaking it up, obviously that can help a lot. That's the short answer.
Just bouncing down here. can you compare and contrast just a little bit the RCF J8 versus the Evolv 50? Because I think you've done did you do a shootout with both of those?
No, I didn't do a shootout with the J8, and the reason is, and I don't know if this is what the J stands for, but I sort of call it like the Junior 8. I did a shootout between the Evox 8 and the Evolv 50. The J8 is about half the cost of the Evox 8, and for a reason. It's simply a lower cost model. It's a step down. My opinion, having not done a shootout, but knowing the Evox 8 as I do and knowing the Evolv as I do, the Evolv is absolutely going to destroy the J8. It's just not a fair fight, and it shouldn't be. At half the money, it shouldn't be a fair fight. So I don't think they would be considered class competitors. And I love RCF. I think RCF makes amazing stuff. The whole RCF family. Maybe a lot of people don't know that RCF also owns EAW and DB Technologies. So they make fantastic speakers, and I love them. But it's not a question of loyalty to a brand. You simply can't say, how's this speaker stack up with that speaker when they're really not competitors.
I would definitely agree. I have had both, and I've actually used them together, trying to cover a larger outdoor area. And there definitely is a difference in what the two do. And being a junior is, even though that's not what the J stands for, is a good way to think about it, because it is just a price-wise down and capability step down.
No, you want a great speaker for around $900 or whatever the J8 is. There you go. There's the ticket. But yeah, it's not. The Evolv's going to eat it for lunch.
Scott has another question for us here. Rigging, climbing and rigging. How do you become certified as...
Boy, he is all about the safety stuff. I love it, Scott. I keep this at arm's length. I got right there. The book. Safety guide.
That's the book.
I also keep my...
That's the book.
Got my National Electric Code right there. This one's a little bit old, but... Sorry, I do.
That's the book.
Just praise Scott for all these safety questions. So, how do you get certified?
Looking for some formal training.
Huh?
Yeah, looking for formal training, wants to be safe and following proper protocol. Like when you drop a cupcake from the top of the ice arena.
We would never.
Proper protocol.
We would never. That was a good show. I remember that show. That was a lot of fun. Well, so Scott, let me answer this question in two different ways. One is there's really only one industry recognized certification, and that's ETCP, which has both theater rigging and arena rigging. But there are other organizations. There's a rigging school. The name sort of escapes me, and I'm not going to take a guess at it. I think I remember it, but it doesn't matter. And they offer their own certification. And I'm sure it's a fine school, and I'm not knocking it, but what that certification means is nothing, really. It's not, it's not really industry recognized. Whereas the ETCP is recognized. And I think that it would still carry value from this other, rigging institution, simply because it shows that you went through something and you did something. But I think for me, the certification is important because it demonstrates not only a competency, but a length of time doing it. You can't just decide tomorrow you're going to go get certified. You have to be working in the field for a long time to be eligible for the certification. However, what I will say, the certification is a fairly new thing. And for many, many people in the industry, we're much more interested in you being qualified than being certified. Some of the best riggers in the world are not certified. And partly because they've been doing it for so long, and the certifications finally came along and they said, I don't need that, I'm a fan of it, though. I don't want to say that I'm not a fan of certification. I am a fan of it. But again, the more important thing is to be qualified. I don't really care if you're rigging over my head and you're not certified, as if I know that you're qualified. That's good enough for me. So that actually I'm going to see if I can find a photo here. No idea where I would look for this. So this might take me a minute, but bear with me. I just want to show some of the training that we do here.
Well, while you're on that topic, we have a regular in the chill room. Chris Fox asked where he could get the books.
the Event Safety Alliance books, the Event Safety Guide. I think you can just go to eventsafetyalliance.org, or if you just Google Event Safety Alliance, you should be able to find it. And they also have a safety training you can take, and you can become certified through them, which again shows at least a commitment to it. So this is one quick picture I found, and it's not the picture I wanted to show, but here you can see some people doing some rigging training with us. We're just going over some basic things. Let me see what else I can find here real quick. I think, this fella here is getting some training on how to build, steel assemblies on the ground and practicing tying knots and that sort of thing. And one of my favorite things that we do, I know where that picture is. Bear with me. Oh, you know what? I'm going to show you this picture too, because it's a good one. I like it. It's actually taken by the newspaper, so it's actually a nice picture. They turned out good. Yours truly. And if you look inside the watermelon, you can see a 5/8 inch screw pin anchor shackle that is embedded in the watermelon. And it is a yellow shackle. All of our show shackles are black. That yellow shackle we only use for training. And that helps us differentiate a shackle that's been dropped. We never want to use it in the air. But anyway, this shackle was dropped from this scissor lift you can see behind me at a height of about 19.5 feet. And, you can see the liquid coming out of the watermelon here. And we were explaining to these students that would be their brains leaking out of their head, which is why we require hard hats. Wow. Mitch Taylor, who we all love. I love Mitch Taylor. I will never forget what Mitch Taylor said after he took one of the rigging classes I did. Mitch said, here's what I learned from Ben's rigging class. I don't want to be a rigger. And I'm like, that's pretty good advice. Gosh, I'll tell you what, I can't find this photo I wanted to find here. But I have some photos of us training with the fire department, and we are very lucky to have a excellent rescue team on our fire department, which for our small city is really spectacular. We're in a small Minnesota city, and we have mannequins suspended in the air, and the firemen are going down, rappelling inverted to clip on and rescue the mannequin. And of course, our team is working with them because we're likely to be the dummy that's hanging in the air. So we want our fire department to be very competent and very capable. And we were very impressed at what they brought to the table. Honestly, I'll confess, we came together thinking that we would teach our fire department something, and that was in our best interest so they could rescue us. And we realized they actually were really way ahead of us. And I'm actually very happy to say that the guy that was in charge of all that is now our chief. So I feel very good about where we're at. Wow. But that's something to think about too. When you're rigging, you need to have a plan. You need to have a rescue plan. And never ever rig alone. If you fall, people say all kinds of stupid things. Oh, I'll climb back up my harness. You will not. You just impacted with over 1,000 pounds of force at the bottom of your lanyard. You're not going anywhere. You'll be lucky if you're conscious and if you don't have some broken bones. So no, that's just not reality. And people say, "Oh, I'll catch the beam on the way down." Listen, this isn't Looney Tunes. You're not Wile E. Coyote. I mean, this is, come on. We're just talking nonsense now. So hope is not a plan. By the way, that good-looking gentleman right there mooning you, that's me. So. All right. Okay. So, Scott, to answer your question in a more succinct way, I think the best way to learn rigging is to get along with some show riggers and just get involved in doing it and be attentive and be curious and be eager to learn. And there are people who are willing to teach you. And, you can start by being a downrigger. And in fact, actually, I'm going to show you one more thing that we do as part of some of our trainings here. This picture right here, coming right up to you. We have this guy, kind of sitting on a wooden beam, and you can see he's only 4 feet off the ground, right? So obviously, if he falls off that beam, he's going to have a headache, but that's about it. But he's working on building this basket as though he were 100 feet in the air. And the reason is because he understands now what it's like to sit on a beam and try to make that point. And then he understands from the perspective of an uprigger what the downrigger is doing and how it impacts the uprigger. You know, so we'll build steel wrong and tell him to attach it, and he realizes how hard it is to be leaning over a beam trying to attach that shackle under the beam. So I think what that does is it gives your downriggers a lot of empathy as to why that uprigger is so tweaked after they just pulled the thing 100 feet in the air to find out it's wrong. I mean, there's a temptation to just let it go, you know, which, you know, we would never do. But I think that just, you know, they understand, you know, because the uprigger is going to be pulling points all morning. And that's just one more pull that didn't have to be made. And so I think, you know, good upriggers start as good downriggers, and there's really a good understanding between the two. So get yourself on as a downrigger and just work around that a lot. Get some hours under your belt, get some comfort under your belt, and then go for the ETCP arena or theater certification, whichever would be more applicable to what you do. That'd be my advice on that.
Howie, do you have any more questions in the chat? I don't have that one up.
I didn't see other than what Chris asked, but
yeah, good
yeah,
question.
they're just basically.
Okay.
Now that picture you showed with the safety yellow safety harness that you had on, I was maintenance supervisor many moons ago at this one 3-story factory, and we had training. And because I had gone skydiving and I was young and dumb, and, you know, I said, yeah, I'll test it, you know. And so they put me up in a basket and I jumped off because I knew it would work.
Right.
I didn't know how painful it would be. It saved my life, of course, but I did have some black and blue spots in areas I won't mention, and it took the wind out of me. But it does work.
Oh, it's a tremendous shock to the system. I've never fallen in my harness and been caught by my harness, but I have been lifted by my harness for training. And even that, just being lifted off the ground in a controlled and contained way, it gets very painful after a short bit of time. And one of the things that's really important to think about, and I'm actually scrolling to see if I can find those fire department pictures because they're just doggone cool. But there's something called suspension trauma, where, you know, the muscles in our leg are basically, you know, our heart is a push muscle. And so the muscles in our leg help to, you know, move that blood out of our legs. And when we're hanging in a harness, and as you mentioned, you know, where that spot is, you know, here.
Yeah, I was the only guy that didn't sit down to eat lunch that day. I can tell you that.
Oh, it's here. This is one of our guys going through some training right here. Now take a look. Look how loose his harness is, and it was not loose until we lifted him. But that's just how much, you know, everything sort of compresses. You know. And so, and here again, you can see obviously there's a hand on him, and, you know, we're all very conscious and very you know, very safety focused in this process. But yeah, we did some fun things too. This is kind of fun. This is all my crew, and so I get to brag on my crew. And again, kind of miss seeing them all the time doing shows. That's there's the human aspect to it too. But this pole here is designed to attach and release a lanyard. So here we can see his lanyard is stretched out as though he had fallen, even though he didn't. And anyway, this pole then allows them to put the safety lanyard on, which you can see here, which is on like a mechanical advantage block and fall or something, you know, to lower the person to the ground, because you're not lifting them back up to the beam after they've fallen. You're lowering them the rest of the way, which means you have to attach this and then detach this or cut this, you know, which remind me to tell you a funny school district story in a second here. But anyway, so here, this is how we can practice safely. He's firmly on the ground, and, you know, he's able to practice attaching that safety pole, so that when the time comes and you have to do it for realsies, as they say, it's not completely unfamiliar territory. Oh, thank goodness I found these pictures. This is spectacular. You're going to love this. By the way, was at a school theater the other day, helping them out with some stuff, and went to open a box, and without thinking, just reached in my pocket, pulled out my knife, and everybody in the school kind of freaked out. They went, "Whoa!" And I said, "You don't have a theater program here, do you?" And they said, "Because I guarantee you, at basically our school where we started a theater program, everybody's packing a knife because it's one of the best safety tools you can have.
Sure.
So, and when I'm rigging, I've always got one in case I need to cut something. Like to free myself. It's life or death. Anyway. All right, I'm stalling. Some more questions can come in, but here, check this out. Just feast your eyes on this. So here we can see the mannequin, which I distinguish between the mannequin and the dummy, right? So this is the mannequin, and if it's me hanging there, I'm a dummy. But, this is a mannequin, and you can see this firefighter is inverted, and of course, here we have a guy on a snorkel or a JLG boom, supervising, and again, safety, right? But he's rappelled down 20 feet below that beam to attach onto this mannequin and then rescue that mannequin. Here he's a little bit close-up shot, so you can see what these guys are doing, and it's just, we were so happy, we were in tears. We wanted to just hug all these firemen because we were like so nice to know that even though our plan is to rescue ourselves before they even get in the building, that's why we practice with the pole. We're going to get ourselves down and we're going to take care of business. But boy, to have professionals like that are ready to back you up, you can't ask for anything better than that. I think our city is kind of the envy of the industry, but that's just me. I'm personally, so.
Okay, we need to get through a few more questions here, Ben.
Ah, dang it. All right. Sure, I got more pictures. I can go back to pictures.
I know. We could. And then here's my family vacation.
Actually, I have those. Hang on.
No, next time. Next.
Okay, all right.
Somebody's looking for your recommendation for a subwoofer if they want to get into kind of a mid-grade to do some proms. What would you recommend?
I would say it depends on the tops you have, but an easy answer would be EKX from Eevee. Really very affordably priced, 15 millimeter birch box. I think those boxes definitely hit above their price point a little bit, and I would call that a really good, solid mid-grade sub. But again, there's probably some advantages to matching the family and the brand for what you have for tops. There might be some DSP settings and things within the box. So let's carry the conversation on, privately. Why don't you just message me and say, well, I've got these tops and, what do you think? And I can shoot you back some recommendations.
Next question. How many of the live acts, live bands and such that are out there touring, they play with pre-recorded music or they are actually truly lip syncing? Do you see that out there?
I almost never see lip syncing. Almost never. And that is what is always extraordinary to me is how talented these people really are. That sound really comes out of them, that it really comes off their instruments, it really comes out of their vocal cords. Now, pre-recorded music is very common these days. And it doesn't mean the band is not playing, but there are things like stems and kind of some instrumental tracks, things you just can't do live. You can't bring a whole orchestra on the road, right? So, some things you might hear with like strings or whatever might be tracked, or some percussive things might be tracked. And that's not uncommon to have those things coming in. There's even sometimes, what we call BGVs, background vocals, are tracked and whatever, but that's not the same as lip syncing. And again, these musicians are just extraordinarily talented. And I've enjoyed working with so many, I can't say all, but I can say so many. So.
Howie, you'll have to keep a watch. We got about 5 minutes left here, and I'm going to try to get through as many questions as.
All right.
So give us count there.
Yes, Chris, my knife is very sharp.
Yes.
Howie and I are both Eagle Scouts. That knife is sharp. So.
Oh yes. Yes.
Very sharp, actually.
Oh, just a comment, Millie Vanilli. I guess that was referring to that.
That was a defining point for me because I have to confess, you know what? I'm not a prideful person. I think everybody knows that. So I will tell you that my first two CDs I ever bought were Def Leppard Hysteria and Milli Vanilli. So I learned a lot. Listen, I think I owe both of those CDs. I think I owe my career to both of those CDs because I think Def Leppard made me, want to be a part of the industry. I think I had envisioned myself as a poofy-haired drummer at one point, maybe, but and Milli Vanilli taught me a powerful lesson because I could neither dance nor sing. So I knew I couldn't lip sync and I couldn't. So I was like, I better get good behind a soundboard, I mean, at least they could dance, the dancing was real, right? So I got nothing,
Oh boy.
right,
Composite
what
tops or wood tops? What would you recommend? What would you prefer?
I prefer wood, but composite. There are some really good sounding composite tops out there. It's not a cut and dry. There are composite tops. Just because you have a wood box doesn't mean you have a great speaker either, right? So there are some composite tops that absolutely destroy some of the wood boxes out there. And not to get in the name calling game, I'll just say, but my preference is generally a wood box.
Mm-hmm. Can we say it depends so I can have some?
Yes,
coffee?
take a drink. Everybody take a drink. It depends. All right. Just water for me, folks. Sorry.
This might be the last one here. Suggestions to wirelessly transmit video.
I wish I could take credit for planting this question, but we carry well-known stalwart brands like Teradek, but we just added a new line, and it's designed for cameras ultimately. But you know what? It doesn't really matter, right? You need to get SDI or HDMI wirelessly. It doesn't really matter why. It's just wireless, right? We have a new brand that we started carrying very, very recently that has some very affordable solutions. And thus far, they are reliable. I am cautiously optimistic. Now, Teradek's rock solid, but it's expensive. It's reassuringly expensive. If you're doing what Teradek customers are doing, you want that. But if you want to just send some wireless HDMI, or wireless SDI, 100 feet or so, we've got some great products that now are surprisingly affordable.
And that fits into Chris's question, which just popped up, and I think that's my last one. Any emerging technologies that DJs will be able to utilize in the future that we aren't using at this time?
I think the cool thing about our industry is it's always evolving. The art form is evolving, the technology is evolving, and there's this dance between technology and art, that one drives the other. And it's back and forth. When new tools come about, people find new ways to use them, and people want to find things, so they create new tools. So I think rather than getting into the nuances of that, I'll just say that yes, of course. I mean, it's and I look back over the course of music, and I think about how we've constantly pushed the envelope and how wide open the licenses for music. I just had the pleasure of recording our university's choir for a live stream, and they had a mouth harp. And I just, there I am recording this choir, very serious in their dynamite group. It was just really a joy to work with them. But the whole time I just kept thinking, who thought of this? Like, whose idea was it to stick a thing in their mouth and boing, 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 boing? Like, what kind of dumb thing is that? But that's music, right? Take a listen to like the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper album. They cover like 16 different genres in there. And there was no rules. They were like, hey, let's just go get loaded on a bunch of drugs and see what kind of sounds we can make, I think, and I don't know, but I'm not encouraging you to go get loaded on a bunch of drugs. I'm just saying the point is, there's no rules about how you make music. There's no rules about how you make a DJ set. And thus there are no rules about the technology. Now, I made a joke earlier about the sync button. I'm not getting into that. But I don't use a rotary telephone anymore. I have no qualms using automation features on my live soundboards, so I'm going to make the tools work for me. If you're a purist and a truist, that's cool because that's part of your art form. There's just no wrongs here.
I can tell you one thing. It just came out, and it was the first time they got to use it since the lockdown. Brian did an event as a tech. It helped his friend, and they needed fill speakers that were going to be 50 feet from the main speakers, and he needed a delay, so he used the 30Ms with the delay feature
built in.
And well, the year before they were like, "Oh, there's this horrible echo," and he used a delay, and they said, "Perfect sound." So there's new technology that was used successfully.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it's happening everywhere and in every aspect. And, we talked earlier, I think the first question of the night was about the S31 mixing console in the picture. And I mentioned that I much prefer the SD series. But the SD series is being put out to pasture by the Quantum. And, when the Quantum desks came out, I mean, I was like, they've come out with things like, like Clang, which is sort of spatial monitor mixing in basically 3D now. Or at least 360 degrees for sure. And then, they have a thing called Mustard. And I thought that was a joke. I honestly did, knowing Matt Larson, but no, it's real. And you start looking at the processing power and the things that these boards can do. And it's all at once intimidating and inspiring. You're like, wow. I remember saying to a guy, again, we have this training program here. And I remember saying to an intern one time as we were getting ready to do a show, we have amazing PA hanging in the air. I've got an amazing console. We've got great mics, great DIs, great cables. I mean, every part of the chain, because a weak link, right? Every part of the chain is amazing. And we've got professional artists. And I looked at this kid and I said, so I have no excuses. I said, if it sucks, it's my fault. It's just the weak link is me now, so.
I think we got a wrap.
Made it. You sure don't want to see those vacation pictures?
Yeah, no, next time.
Which reminds me, John, did we get campsites? I know you and my wife were conspiring. Did we get campsites?
We were looking, and I've got. I had a couple I looked at and found a couple, and I was going to run them past her. If she doesn't mind sitting, the campsites are located right between the outhouse and the dump station. So if she doesn't mind that.
Story of my life.
Yeah, we're good.
I have one last picture that will go well with that. I can find it quick.
That's not a good sign when you have a picture that relates to the outhouse and the dump station.
Man, you know what? If the shoe fits, right? So.
Well, for those of you, Ben's finding that in about 5 minutes, Brian and I are going to be coming back. There's no players or anything yet. We're just going to be coming back, and it will be up. So youtube.com/discjockeynews, you'll be able to find the player in about 5-6 minutes. And then after Brian and I are done tonight, then the chill room, DJNTV.com/chill, bounce back in and hang out for the rest of the evening tonight. Which for a lot of you, you're already here in the chill room with us.
Yeah, keep hanging out. Great content coming up. So everybody's heard the story about the DJ that died and went to heaven and got to the pearly gates, and St. Peter said, "Oh, I see you were a DJ. Well, you need to go back and come in through the kitchen." So listen, people ask me what touring's like, and I say, well, it's seeing the world one dumpster at a time. So it's where the buses park. So
True.
Right by the outhouses and the dump stations. So yeah, I'll feel right at home.
All right, we need to bounce so I can get the things reset. Thanks everybody for being with us tonight, and Howie, thanks for coming and filling in for us tonight. And we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.